Vintage furniture is great because it has already stood the test of time, so you know that it's going to be a long-lasting heirloom piece in your home. In this chapter, I'm going to teach you how to inspect a piece of furniture so that you can tell whether it's made by a reputable furniture maker, whether it's a unique piece that will add personality and character to your home, and whether it's well made. If you have an empty room and you want to add some vintage pieces to it, where do you start? That's a question I get asked a lot. And my advice is to start with color. Pick something that you love, like a painting or a rug. Pull the colors for the room out of that large piece. And that way you have a boundary within to work in your creative space. Boundaries are always good. They're always helpful when creating one big space. Secondly, I like to pick the most unique vintage pieces first if I'm starting with an empty room, because those are more rare and you can't find them everywhere. And then after we find those unique pieces, work around those, finding other pieces of furniture that are more common and easier to find in lots of places. Especially when you have a new home and it's empty, the first thing you're gonna need is a dining room table. You have to eat somewhere. So I like to pick that piece first because you already know what size it's gonna be in the room, and you can really make an investment on that piece of furniture that is really central to your home and central to your life. So let's say you're in the wild hunting for vintage and you find a vintage dining room table. The first thing I noticed about this table when I saw it out shopping was the patina. And patina is when something is made of a high quality material that's meant to age beautifully. So as you can see, it looks like light is emanating out of this spot. It looks like this spot was touched a lot more by human hands, so it's a little bit darker. So right away, I knew that it was an older piece because of the patina. And then I noticed a really unique quality to this table that I don't see in very many tables. And if you look in the front section, these are end cuts of wood, kind of just, you can see the grain where you count the circles of wood. And we have it all around the whole table, which is just very unique, different, and beautiful. We also have veneer on the top of the table that's cut into these perfectly shaped triangles. Veneer, sometimes when people say veneer, they mean it in a bad way, like it's not solid wood, it's just a veneer on top. But in this case, this is a very high quality veneer. It's a veneer where it's a thin sheet of wood that they glue or fuse on top of another piece of solid wood to give it more decoration, more interest, and more beauty. And by using a veneer instead of the solid piece of wood, you can create more intricate patterns, both on the front and both on the top. And you right away notice that there are 6 legs on this table instead of the usual 4. That indicates that it's either a custom piece or an older piece that was very expensive when it was made, because if you only have to pay for 4 legs instead of 6, why would you only pay for 4? So we know that someone took extra time with this table, and that's what makes it unique. And then I know when I pick up this table, it's quite heavy. So I know that there's solid wood underneath and that these legs are solid wood, even if I don't inspect it any further. Put some pressure on it and shake the table when you see it. There's no creaking, there's no cracks. I always look, especially on antique pieces, at each of the feet. Often there can be little chunks out of the feet missing on antique pieces if it wasn't handled well before, and those are hard fixes. This one doesn't have that, so I know that it was well taken care of. I know that it's an antique piece just by the patina alone, but as always, we look underneath it to see what's under the hood. Okay, I have the table turned over, so now we know what the table really is. We're showing its true colors. And immediately I see this right here, which indicates that there used to be some sort of tag or label on there, but it's long gone since then. And the hand-painted lettering was the thing I got really excited about because I know that somebody took a lot of pride in making this table. I actually got this from an estate sale, and it was a very old house, and I had no idea what the numbers represented, but then I realized that it was the address of the house that I got it from. Okay, we look at the screws. The screws are old antique screws with the flat head and not the Phillips screws, indicative of age. And then I get to see that each one of these legs is a solid piece of wood, and each detail is carved from one piece of wood instead of little details being glued onto the leg to give it its shape. It's actually just one piece that somebody expertly carved into the wood. That's another beautiful thing about vintage antiques is that you can see the soul of the maker in the actual wood of the furniture. You can see who the human was that made it by the things that they left behind. Okay, so if you find a table that's like this, you find a table that is solid wood, that has beautiful details that you can tell were handmade, you don't see any damage on the bottom or cracks on the wood, it doesn't shake or creak when you move it, it's heavy, then you can know that it's gonna be a quality piece for your home that will last you a long time. Nightstands are a great vintage item to start off with if you're just starting because they're small, they're easy to move by yourself, and they're low commitment as opposed to a large dining table or a large couch. And the best thing about nightstands is there's an easy way to quickly determine whether it's good quality, and that's by looking at the drawers. I'm gonna take it all the way out. The first thing I notice when I open this is, again, there's patina, so I can tell that it's at least vintage. But secondly, I try to see how the drawers attach to the main base of the nightstand. In this case, there are not drawer slides. There's no plastic drawer slides, which you sometimes see. There's not even a metal drawer slide. It's all wood construction. No screws at all, actually. And then if you look inside the drawer, you can see that there's something right here called a dovetail joint. And if you look closely at the front, you can see that this top piece is connected to the box of the drawer, not by a staple, not by a nail, not by a screw, or just simply glue. It's connected through this special joinery called dovetail joints that makes for a very solid, straight, even drawer. So right away, this is a heavy nightstand with really quality construction. The drawers all slide very easily. It's a great height for nightstands. So I can tell right away that if you find a nightstand like this, it'll be a great addition to your home. One tip about nightstands is that vintage nightstands and antique ones tend to be shorter than modern beds. So before you buy a nightstand, make sure to measure the height of where your mattress is on your bed so that the height of the nightstand is about the same size. Usually that's around 26 to 29 inches. All right, so this is a great example of a small piece of vintage furniture. Let's look at a larger piece. Let's talk about credenzas. Credenzas are great, everybody needs one, and they have a lot of the same quality markers that other vintage furniture pieces have. This one I could tell when I saw it is solid wood construction, the veneer in the front isn't chipping, it's in really good condition, and it has a really unique style. It's a brutalist piece. The thing about credenzas, the maker's mark can be harder to find than in other places. One is in the back. You can flip it around and look in the back for a stamp or a wood burning or a label. If the piece has doors, like this one does, open the door, and a lot of times it's on the inside of the door right here. And then the most common place for it to be found is in a drawer, and it's usually the left top hand drawer. I don't know why, but it's always the left top hand drawer. So we have a maker's mark right here in this drawer. I think that just the fact that it has a maker's mark shows you that whoever made it wanted their name to be known, and that's a good sign of quality right there, regardless of whether you know who the furniture maker is. Now that we know the furniture maker, if you've never heard of them before, you can research it and look up to see what other pieces this person has made and how much they go for online, and whether it's a good, solid piece of furniture. Let's talk about chairs. Woven chairs are really popular right now, so I'm gonna show you a few examples. Woven chairs can be made out of a lot of different types of materials: rattan, bamboo, cane, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about those differences. This is the first chair I have. Again, when you see a chair, the first thing you wanna do, lift it, see if it's heavy, see if it wiggles. It doesn't. What I really want to demonstrate to you with this chair is the seat. This is a cane seat, and there are two main types of cane. This type of cane is hand-woven, hand-tied, very high quality. I can tell that it's handmade because these individual pieces are tied around another individual reed that goes around like this, and then is woven through as if thread through a textile. And as you can see, this is an old chair, but this cane is still in good condition. It's not sagging, and there aren't any breaks in it. So if you see something like this, it's a rare find and a good piece to have in your home. As you can see, this chair also has woven elements to it. It's not actually cane, but it's made out of a lot of different materials. So it's a good demonstration of all the things that you will find in an old vintage chair. I can tell that these small pieces here and these pieces in the back are made out of little bits of bamboo. I can tell because you see the growth lines right here. It's kind of like when you have a piece of wood and it has the rings inside. On bamboo, it's on the outside. And you'll see it every once in a while, these little rings. Another material used in these chairs is rattan. Now, the difference between bamboo and rattan is that rattan is a solid piece of wood that you can bend, and bamboo is a hollow piece of wood. So just look to see whether it's hollow or solid. These pieces here, I know are rattan and not bamboo because I can look on the inside and see that there's no hole. And I don't see the marks that bamboo has, these growth marks right here. And I know that it's rattan because it's very difficult to do this with bamboo. It's a lot easier to do bent wood with rattan. The seat looks like a construction of cut pieces of bamboo, and it's tied together with these little rattan strips. And the back is also woven together with natural materials. Now, these are normally made in Asian places where bamboo is grown, often in Thailand or Vietnam. And the people who make these are really good at making these chairs. They feel light. They look almost delicate, but they're so tough and they can really stand the test of time. And I would even say that vintage pieces with bamboo and rattan are beautiful because of the patina and the age of the wood. But even newer rattan and bamboo pieces are really well made and sturdy. There are a few things that you should look for, though, to see if the chair is too far gone, that it would be a very expensive thing to repair. The first thing are these little pieces of reed that they use to weave the elements of the chair together. A lot of times in older pieces or pieces that people have left outside in the sun, these start to unravel. A little bit of unraveling is totally fine. The pieces are also held together with tiny little nails. So again, they're very sturdy, but a lot of unraveling is problematic and very expensive to fix. This is an old chair, and even though it's old, I can see that all of these are in great condition. I can look at the weave up here and see that there are no puncture marks or holes, so I know that this is a great chair to bring home and it'll last a long time. If you use these tips when you find vintage furniture in the wild, you'll be able to start your collection of really high quality furniture that's built to last and will really shine in your home.